Gayle joins us now,
just dropped
putting her earpiece in. Because we were sort of half listening, half talking about this. It was really fascinating, but I'm wondering, these are sort of four very outspoken women.
Yes,
they want to express their opinion, I'm sure, particularly on the topic.
I have very little earlobes, so it is very hard sometimes to get this in. Okay, all right,
That is a challenge when you work in television.
Everything else is big, but I have a hard time getting that in. But it was interesting, to your point, talking to all four of them together at the same time.
And did they seem, I know now they've acquired this nickname, the Squad.
Yeah.
How much on the same page, connected did they seem?
It's so interesting you asked me that, because I got an email from a friend who said, is it just me or is there tension between the Squad? There is no tension between the Squad. These four women are so connected and so on the same page about what they want to do. And it was interesting, and I thought Tony Coppola raised a good point today when he said maybe it's generational, because some of us feel, or some people feel, that, get going and get the lay of the land, see how things are done. And they're saying, look, Washington is broken. We want to do something about it. We want to fix it. I love how Congressman Omar said, if broken means getting rid of oppression, getting rid of the status quo, yes, call us people that want to break the system. But what struck me is how passionate they feel about the job they want to do. They are very dedicated to their constituents. They said that they were brought there for a reason, and they intend to carry that out. And maybe there's something that everybody could learn working together. I was surprised when they said there is not a fracture with Nancy Pelosi. Looks like a big old fracture to me. But they're saying no fracture.
I have a different viewpoint.
You do?
Well, in the sense that in studying congressional and Senate history, generally there are younger members who are elected to this August body, and they come with ideas that are disruptive to the status quo. And it happened, when a young John F. Kennedy went to Congress, and it happened, when a young, it just happens over and over again. I remember reading once when Charlie Rangel got to Congress, and I know Charlie Rangel was a liberal, is a liberal, but he disrupted one of the most respected black congressmen at the time, Adam Clayton Powell Jr., who said, who is this young firebrand who dares to question,
I forgot about that,
who dares to question what I am doing? I've been in the Congress for so many years, young man, and you have to wait your turn. It's always been like that.
Yeah, they're definitely hitting some of that, and you know what? They are okay about that. I was struck how unapologetic they were. Even with Rashida Tlaib, who called the president, an MF. She said, we're going to impeach that MF. And I said, do you think that's okay? You're talking about the president of the United States, regardless of how you feel about him. Forget about president, calling anybody that. And she goes, well, I wasn't on the House floor. I curse, a lot of people curse, and that's just who I am. No apologies whatsoever. I was sort of expecting, well, I got caught up in the heat of the moment. If I had thought about it, maybe I would have chosen my words carefully. None of that.
So here's the thing, though. The president has taken this on, right? And part of the reason he's taken this on is because many of the president's supporters have identified AOC in particular as kind of like their next target. She's the younger Nancy Pelosi. She's the boogeyman. And so when you say MFR about the president and other things, it feeds the narrative that he is trying to create. Did they express any concern about feeding right into his story?
No, because they don't see that that's what they're doing. And listen, Ayanna Pressley calls him the occupant. She doesn't even give him the courtesy of calling him the president of the United States. She said because it isn't his White House. It is a temporary job for him. I mean, so they are okay with turning things on their ear, on its ear, for the good of what they say the country. They say they're putting the country first. They say that their main concern is the country, and the fact that only 4 Republicans voted to condemn the president about what is even experts say, you don't even have to be an expert to figure out that that's a racist tweet, they say is very telling.
Gayle, one of the things that I think it's kind of fascinating, the president puts out these racist tweets, and these 4 women are sort of forced to defend their positions, their policy positions, based on the actions of somebody else. And one of the things that I said to Anne-Marie and Major Garrett when he was here is, at the very least, this is shining a light on something that, as somebody who has faced that accusation my entire life, Go back to where you come from, because I have a non-American first name. Parents weren't born in this country. I pointed out that I joined the military because of those sentiments when I was a young man. People would say that. I thought to myself, well, what's the most patriotic thing I can do to prove that I'm an American? Is join the military, right? And we're having this conversation around the idea that when people have nothing else to say to you about your policies, about the disagreements with how you plan on paying for Medicare or what you plan on doing for Medicare, they tell you to go back to your country, even though for 3 of those 4 congresswomen, their country is the United States.
Is the United States of America. And even for Congressman Ilhan Omar, who was not born here, she's been here since she was a teenager. So the United States is very much her country. And they said, and people are talking about us, about our language. We're talking about how the President of the United States speaks when he is in the Oval Office. It really is a very interesting dynamic when you look at where they're coming from and when what the president says and Nancy Pelosi. At the end of the day, though, they have to figure out a way to all work together.
Yeah, it's
the Democrats have got to figure this out. Yeah. And I'm not so sure what that answer is going to be. First, you can start by talking. And when I asked about meeting with her, she said, well, our teams are talking. Your teams. With
Nancy Pelosi.
Yes. Yeah, with AOC and Nancy Pelosi. I think all 4 of them need to sit down with her together. But even Congressman Tlaib says, well, she's the Speaker of the House, she can reach out to us. Yowza. I just think there has to be a way that they've got to get together sooner rather than later. And I asked about where did that nickname, the Squad, came from? Because I was very.
And
where did that come
are
from?
they embracing it?
Oh, big time.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. They're not shying away from that at all. They rather like it. And it started out a photo shoot. It was just the 4 of them. And they were all the newbies. And it was so funny because Ayanna Pressley said, I don't know where that nickname came from. And AOC goes, it was me. Because they were thinking about hashtag squad goals.
Squad goals, right.
Hashtag squad goals. And now it's just sort of taking on a life of its own. But they said anybody who wants a better America can be part of the squad. So
did they recognize sort of the irony of the president criticizing them for their language and their behavior when and often what the president's supporters will say is, we elected him because we like that he talks like that, and perhaps the people in their areas elected them for that.
In some circumstances, they're saying the exact same thing about the other.
Right, exactly. And I think that that's an interesting point. And the other one is neither party refusing to apologize. The president never apologizes. He believes in always pressing forward, and they feel the same way. That's the age. This is the political age that we're living in right now, where it doesn't matter if you're a Democrat or a Republican. When you are confident and certain in your position, you don't owe anybody an apology.
Now, there's enough blame to go around on both sides, really. And you don't even have to dissect it all that much. There's enough for everybody to say, we could all do a little better on this.
The one thing about you pressed Congresswoman Omar about the comments that she's made in the past with regards to the state of Israel, and you asked her point blank, so you want to get on the record and say you're not anti-Semitic, and she didn't really answer the question. She said,
no, of course not. Of course I'm not,
Right.
Or, that was not my intention.
That was not my intention.
And I welcome the opportunity to have the conversation.
Because that's part of, what I see now is Republicans and the president, they are leveling anti-Semitism charges against all 4 of them because of some of the comments that
they're all lumped together, and they're aware of that too. But they stand solid, they stand as a unit. And they feel really, I said, so after this first year, how's it going? They think it's going very well. They think it's going very well.
You remember we had the author of American Carnage on? I think you guys
Tim
had
Alberta.
I know, I wasn't here. I was so bummed I missed him.
One of the things that he has been saying is that he believes that the president is somewhat enamored with AOC. And that he sees sort of similarity.
He said early on in her campaign,
that is interesting. I could see that though, Anne Marie Green. I could see that. I could see him looking at her.
He apparently, when she was starting her campaign,
my kind of girl. I could see that.
My kind of girl. Be careful. Watch her. Is what the president said when he was looking at the beginnings of her campaign.
Yeah, she makes no apologies to the job that she's doing, who she's doing it for, and I left there thinking, it's like midstream in the interview, I thought, this is not at all what I expected. Not at all what I expected, because I thought they'd say, we're learning, it's been difficult. I wish we had handled things differently. None of that.
The one thing I do wonder is if the president succeeds in painting the entirety of the Democratic Party like these 4 congresswomen, will they then think to themselves that this approach may not be the one strategically most the best course of option? Because what the president and Republicans are doing right now is they're saying, look, everybody on that stage who's running for president is aligned with these 4.
And the dialogue has moved from socialist to communist, and who knows where it's going next, right?
And the fact that he can throw it, the president didn't say that. That was
Lindsey Graham.
Lindsey Graham who said that. The fact that they can throw that out there. You know, they've also taken the position that some things are so redunculous, my word, not theirs, that it's not even worth dignifying with a response. The problem with that, though, is that narrative is put out there and it gets picked up, and there are a lot of people who will believe it. So unfortunately, I think there are times you have to respond to things that you do think are just beneath you or not even worth your time, because we live in a society that people only half hear, and that narrative will be carried.
I'm so glad you were able to get this interview. When I saw the note go out yesterday on email, I thought, wow, this is really, because they are in the news cycle, and they're not doing a lot of interviews.
No, and it's very tough to wrangle 4 schedules.
Yes.
I mean, that was
yours.
That was a lot of jiu-jitsu moves to try to get that. But in the end, it all worked out, and they got to sit down, and then right in the middle, they said, gotta go, we gotta go vote. And I'm like, wait, but they had to go.
Wow.
So I was glad we got them for
good.
the time that we got them.
Yeah.
Thank you, Gayle.
All right,
really
thank
great.
you.
Appreciate it.